The Aurora Memoirs, Diary of a Grid Worker by Thomas Michael. Chapter 1, Remembering Aurora. For a long time, my first memory coming into this incarnation was very specific. I existed as a beam of light, traveling what seemed to be very fast toward a small but entrancing, beautiful colored blue dot. As I was traveling towards this colored dot, I was being pulled in by a magnetic essence of what one might call sexual attraction and desire. This electromagnetic force of desire, of sexuality, of sexual creation and stimulation, growing more and more like a gravitational pull, bringing me closer and closer to this colored dot. Like a distant object in the night, coming into view as the car speeds towards it with its headlights beaming. The closer I would get, the larger and more defined what this colored dot became. It was clear that it became more and more looking like what one might now understand as a view of Earth from space. And as it was coming closer and closer to this, I began to see, sense, and feel the auric fields and the bodies of my human parents. What I was experiencing was that of my human's conception, my parents in the act of lovemaking. The energetic magnetism and pull drawing me in was that of their sexual experience, attracting me and pulling me in as a vibrational match. Beyond just this, it was the vibration of sexual creation inherent in the entire realm of what many call Earth. Now I want to paint for you a picture of what I had just been torn from in that instant of incarnation. A realm beyond time and space. I later learned some call the Heart Mother Father God. Some call it Aurora. Aurora is not something or a place that is separate from here and now, but actually a bandwidth of frequency and vibration. It moves through everything like a cosmic gamma wave. In essence, like a radio station, but a layer of existence that is always present. And this is so because part of us, part of myself, has simply been what we might call dreaming. The existence of life on Earth as we know it. The entire experience of Earth has been a co-creative dream, hosted within the liquid light fabric layer of the heart and mind of God, which is what one might call Aurora. My experiences previous to my human birth of Aurora and what I remember of Aurora are oftentimes challenging to explain within the limits of the English language, or even through the perceptual frameworks that many humans have learned to operate in. What I remember of Aurora are not so much specific memories that can be spoken of in a way that a human life or a memory is spoken of, such as specific things that happened, being able to describe separate characters, persons, places, events, and details, as one does with a human memory, or even many past life memories. What I do remember about Aurora is the nature of existence in Aurora, how it operated, and the overall scope of what creation and life was like living in Aurora. I can describe the experiences I had in a visual way when I tune into it as it's still here now. I can see, sense, and feel the pastel, rainbow liquid light hues that are liquid crystalline bodies are made of now. This beautiful pastel liquid rainbow light would reverberate and ebb and flow like a living liquid light paint. Often, what one might call our body, or our more localized awareness, was of a humanoid type shape, although not as seemingly separate. Where our bodies ended and where the creation began were little more than a blur. In much the way a rainbow fades gently into the mist of the air as the sunlight's angle shifts gently, our individuality, more like an orchestra of notes and vibrations ebbing and flowing around a central heart and melody, singing softly from our core. Imagine for a moment a guitar that is constantly in vibration and playing notes and songs out into reality. Those notes and reverberations of the instruments are not separate from the world around it. They are interacting, co-creating, and affecting the nature of all that is around them. When this guitar plays a song, the obvious way to see its effect is through the people around it, moving their feet and hands to the songs or rhythms, or singing along to the chorus. However, we all know its notes move through the seemingly invisible molecules of air into everything that surrounds. Even in nature, you can see the effect that music has on birds and animals, sometimes getting curious looks from birds and other creatures coming to listen to the beautiful sounds. Other times, scaring or disturbing them. In this way, I would witness in real time as I would attune through my liquid light body to the songs, the reverberations, the orchestral nuances of the heart and mind of Mother, Father, God, tuning into the song that they requested me to play. In a similar way to how I would sing the dream into being, my beloved would dance. In Aurora, we knew no names. In this life, this human life, I call her Tish. As I would pour out of my being the melodies, she would dance, allowing our songs to pulsate and ripple their effects out into our co-creative dream. Her movements, coming alive, calling alive, the living colored waters of the forms of worlds around us, a call and response of the dreamer and the dreams. Together, we would attune to the songs of different worlds and realities, each with their own radio stations. Within each contain worlds of their own songs. Imagine the radio station being an entire realm, and within that realm is the song with all the parts, the drums, the choirs, the horns, the guitars. But yet these songs, these horns, these drums and choirs are all standing waveforms of trees, birds, and other beings that would tune into our song and live and ebb and flow and co-create the dream with us. This realm was beyond perceptions of time and space, so each realm and dream would ebb and flow, one seemingly into the next and into the next. Now, maybe you can see the challenge of speaking of this place and its memories. In this realm, beyond time and space, we would co-create in this way for what could be seen as aeons in Earth time, likened unto how we dream. And in a dream, you can dream thousands of lifetimes in seconds, or you can live out only a few minutes in an entire night. From this dreamlike existence beyond time and space, then, in an instant, I was born mile high on the border of Longmont and Aurora, Colorado. This is what I call the cosmic giggle. Every time I've gotten to the deepest natures of clearing trauma, programming, and conditioning in my system, I find myself connecting with the purest of my divine child essence, which seems to be the playful giggling of the very nature of existence and Creator itself. The eternal part of us that's always simply a play with the mind and heart of Mother, Father, God. Just giggling and laughing at the divine drama, the play, the dream, and the joke of existence itself. The child laughing at its angry parent who slips on the banana peel that it just left on the floor as part of an obstacle course it made for its toy cars. Only this time, the banana peel was the irony of the name of my own birth town. This divine child playing hide and seek with the hidden nuances of the way that we speak to ourselves, or the way that we take the illusion of separation and its suffering so seriously. When, really, our dream source is always hiding all of the layers in plain sight for us to see through the illusions of separation, if we are just willing to drop the seriousness and tune in. The fingerprints of God's fingerprints of God, hiding in plain sight, always laughing softly, but echoing out into the ripples of time and space. My hospital birth, as almost all hospital births are, was traumatic, especially for an extremely sensitive child coming from a place as pure as Aurora. Being squeezed through the birth canal, the seeming darkness of the void, and pressure, like the rainbow beam going backwards through the prism into the bright white light and cubicle nature of the hospital room. Here, the poetic nature of yin and yang, duality itself, can be found in this dramatic birth. So began the embodiment, the story of the illusion and dream of separation. Thankfully, my mother refused any drugs. In my birth, I was her fifth child. The birth was very easy for her. She said I shot out of the womb, more or less, ready to exit. I do remember, as I have had to repair the forced cutting of the umbilical cord. Let us all pray that one day, our children, we know, will know the bliss of a water birth, celebrated into creation with the songs of dolphins and whales. The home life that I arrived into after getting there from the hospital was extremely dense, complex, and toxic, dark in many facets. While I won't get into the specific situations that transpired, the bloodlines that I had chosen to incarnate into were riddled with wounds and traumas of addiction, codependency, and abuse at various levels, to name just a few. I was so open and perceptive, able to see, sense, and feel the deep multidimensional layers. And yet, with a still yet developed cognition of a human child, what on the surface might just seem like intense family dynamics, for me was perceived as repressed pain and density all around me, even taking the form of what one might now call spiritual entities. I remember some nights laying in my crib, surrounded by these energies, similar to if you could imagine being left deep in the jungle at night, with a small campfire, naked, with little tools or weapons, hearing the howling of wolves, or large jaguars' faces and eyes being lit up yards away in the jungle. Then being drawn in by your scent, but also scared off by the firelight just as soon as they would leap in. Only in my case, this was the pain of tormented souls, not yet healed from their own childhood wounds, touching the edges of their shame or self-hate, but without the proper frameworks and tools to face and deal with these things. They were instead going numb or disassociating, even wanting to leave the pain of this world behind altogether. It was around this time that protection arrived. I began to come aware of a presence. That presence I would later come to know as Archangel Michael. It was as if as that campfire light took on a life of its own, many times growing and expanding to fill the darkness of the forest. A safe and warm glow, often holding me through these types of moments, or even building a fortress of light. Some moments I would be carried up with him out of the darkness of my surroundings and into the heavens and cosmos, dreaming with him. This protection would continue on throughout my life, never missing a beat in the most divine moments, as if a hidden hand was always there for me, ensuring my safe passage, averting disaster, death, and other moments of peril. The full scope and depth of this relationship I will reveal more as we get further into the story. Yet still, even with this protection, these traumatic experiences, being so quickly after my birth, would play out and influence my life for years to come. It would be only in the most recent 4 to 5 years before writing this story that I would finally be given the tools to meet many of these imprints, held not simply in memory, but in the depths of my body and DNA. I was likely one of the very first of what might people refer to as golden children or Aurora children to come in fully intact with memory and connection, direct connection and memory of Aurora, which, due to the density that was still present on this earth, in this realm, collectively and cosmically, was extremely challenging. Initiations that I had chosen for myself, as it only gets easier and easier for Aurora children, golden children, to retain memory and connection due to the elevating frequencies, purging of trauma, programming, and conditioning, and the elevation of cosmic frequencies on this planet. For those unfamiliar with these terms, Dolores Cannon, I believe, first coined many of them: star seeds, indigos, crystal children, with auroras being in their own later category. Thankfully, these dramatic, dense, and toxic events were quickly resolved by my mother and father. Over the course of a year or two, the situation was resolved, and we moved to Michigan, where my mother's family was from. And this has been Chapter 1 of the Aurora Memoirs. If any of this resonated with you, you can subscribe on Substack to receive each chapter directly to your inbox as it releases. The link is in the description. And I'm Thomas Michael, and I'll see you at the next chapter.